Some area residents came together today working to restore one of Winnebago County's oldest forest preserves. Volunteer site steward Kevin Schreiner led community members in restoration efforts at Kilbuck Bluffs Forest Preserve. The workday focused on removing invasive honeysuckle from a project area. This volunteer day was the first of its kind at the local forest preserve, and Schreiner says more are planned in the future. Forest Preserves of Winnebago County routinely holds opportunities like this to get involved in preservation of local sites.
We're trying to remove all of those invasive species so that we can have more of these native species. There's a lot of spring ephemeral flowers and other wildflowers that kind of thrive in this nice open forest ecosystem. So trying to get more of that to not be outcompeted by the honeysuckle.